So in this video I'm going to show you how to add a slip stitch onto a border to give this decorative effect. So the slip stitch is what looks like a chain running across the top of the fabric in this sort of off-white colour. These are my Loch Marie mitts, which are in Journals of Scottish Yarn issue 1, but also now self-published. You can get the link in the caption of the video. So first of all, you'll need 2 rows of stitches because this slip stitch surface element is worked between 2 rows. So what I've got here is 2 rows. I've got a row of extended single, which is extended UK double, and a row of single crochet, which in UK is a double crochet. So I've got 2 rows of that, and then I'm using the same size hook that I used for the mittens and the border, and a contrasting colour. So what's slightly unusual about this particular stitch is you're working it directly through the fabric, between 2 rows, more or less on top of the fabric, so you're not working into the usual parts of stitches. So I'm going to join this near a seam, and what I'm looking for is the base of the last the stitch from the last round that I did. So you can see this is a single crochet, and it's got 2 little legs, a little V, which is the base of the stitch. So if I just poke my hook there, use that as the aim, then that gets me in the correct spot, which is basically between those 2 rows. So I'm going to leave a longish tail at the back that I can sew in later, and then I'm going to pull up a loop from the wrong side. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the base of the next stitch from that last row that I did. So again, I'm literally just following where the post of the stitch goes into the stitch from the row below. I'm just putting the hook in, I'm pulling up a loop. That loop that I've pulled up, I'm carrying on and pulling it through the loop on my hook. So that is just a slip stitch, and the trick with this is just don't do it too tightly. This is a very good stitch for stabilizing fabrics, but it doesn't have that much stretch to it. So again, into the next stitch, you just sort of poke the hook at the base of that next stitch, and the hook automatically follows the path of least resistance. I'm pulling up a loop. The loop I've pulled up, I'm pulling it through the loop on my hook into the next one, pull up a loop. Again, I'm deliberately opening these loops up because I don't want them too tight, because it will pucker my work. If you're really struggling to get the gauge correct, you can always go up a hook size. So what you will notice about this slip stitch surface trim is that it looks like a chain, and actually that is what you're doing. You're making a chain through the fabric. So yeah, that was a bit of a revelation to me when I started teaching this technique about 7 years ago, and I was experimenting and then realizing that a slip stitch surface crochet, that a slip when you do one after another, you're basically just chaining through fabric. So let's have a quick look at this. If this is the first time you're doing it, it's just worth checking what your tension is like and make sure that it's matching the tension of these 2 rows. If it's puckering in too much and pulling, then you probably either need to deliberately crochet a little bit looser or just switch to the hook neck size up. Anyway, so it's pretty straightforward. I am now going to go ahead and finish off this round, and I'll meet you back and show you how to finish off seamlessly. So I've got one more stitch to do, and now I'm going to fasten off. So cut the yarn, and then pull that last, pull the live loop until it opens right up. So next we're going to need a needle, because we always need to do a sewn bind off with this to get the perfect seamless finish. So we get our tail end and we sew it through the needle. And what we're going to do is make a mock stitch for this last stitch. So my first stitch that I made, I'm going to come up through the bottom loop and the top loop on the only through these two loops. I'm not catching any part of this, the fabric that I did for these two pink rows, and I'm just going to pull that until it's roughly until this part is roughly the same size of these bottom loops. Then I need to have a look, this loop I've just sewn, I need to have a look where that's coming out of that last stitch. So it's coming out there, so I need to get my needle just slightly above that and in that last stitch and go round to poke it through to the back, and then gently pull it until it matches. So there you can see that matches all those other slip stitches. So obviously that is not secure at all, so we need to fasten it off. So with these two ends on the wrong side, I'm going to do left over right, pull it gently, and then right over left, and then I'm just going to thread the tail end and then just run it through these backs of this slip stitch surface element, which has left what looks a bit like a running stitch on the inside of the mitten. Going to catch a bit, split that yarn and just go back through what I've just sewn into. So that side sewn in nice. Trim it, being careful not to cut the fabric, and then same with this one. I'm just going to work it up into back of the slip stitch like that. Make sure I'm matching tension and not making everything tight. Split that strand and then just go back into those stitches. And this is nice because this is Shetland lamb's wool. This is a nice sticky yarn, sticks to itself, so that is not going to come undone anytime soon. So there we go. Just try it on, just make sure I haven't altered the made it too tight or anything, and that's looking pretty good. So better finish off the cuff now to match.